And I'd like to welcome in now Shakur Stevenson to the show. And for people who don't know, I'm involved in boxing now for I don't know how many years. And if someone asked me who's the best bet to be the next pound for pound number one guy when given the chance, I'd put my money on Shakur. Shakur has more to lose. Yeah. He's the undefeated fighter. He's seen as the eventual pound for pound champ potentially. But Teo has more to win. He has more to gain. So on the one hand, is there an advantage there where Shakur is fighting to protect that perfect record, to protect that kind of sense that he's the next guy? On the other hand, Teo is like he can fight with more abandon against Shakur because there's so much for him to gain. And if he loses, he's lost before. He lost to Kambosos, and he came back from that.
The opposite of what they expect you to do. So for me, I try to do the unexpected. I try to make sure if you go out there expecting me to move and run around the ring, I want to give you the opposite. So it was a strategic.
Shakur Stevenson tells Max Kellerman that the moment the fight officially starts, any sense of friendliness disappears. Mutual respect can exist before and after the match, but during the bout, it turns into a clear contest of authority. He views Teofimo Lopez as a highly skilled fighter who carries real confidence in danger, which means treating him lightly would be a serious error. For Shakur, victory comes from asserting his abilities, dictating the rhythm of the fight, and slowly wearing down his opponent mentally. That approach only works if he remains precise, composed, and fully locked in from the opening second to the very end.
I'll be one of them fighters.
I see. You're not saying you don't respect your opponent's fight game. You're saying you're not there to make friends. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm not here to make friends. At the end of the day, my life on the line, his life on the line. We got families to feed, and I take this very serious. So at the end of the day, I can't go in there, touch gloves, and be happy.
For Crawford and Canelo, can't be promoted into existence.
Right.
What a real super fight is, the dust settles in an era, and there are two dudes left standing. There's Ali, there's Frazier, there's Leonard, there's Hagler, there's Mayweather, there's Pacquiao. That's a super fight, right? There's Crawford, there's Canelo. Those are two big fighters of the era. This type of fight, this could easily be at the end of an era, because Teo might be a dude left standing and Shakur could be the dude left standing, right?
Max Kellerman points out that a genuine super fight can't be forced by hype or marketing, according to him. These moments come together on their own once a generation of fighters has run its course and only two top-level competitors are left at the summit. He compares this situation to the impact fighters like Crawford and Canelo have had in defining their era. In his view, this potential matchup carries the same significance because it may represent the final chapter of a competitive cycle. Either Teofimo Lopez stands as the last dominant force, or Shakur Stevenson rises to become the fighter who defines that period.
Expect you to do one thing, and sometimes you want to give a fighter the opposite of what they expect you to do. So for me, I try to do the unexpected. I try to make sure if you go out there expecting me to move and run around the ring, I want to give you the opposite. So it was a strategic game plan too.
Did he have any pop at all?
You know, it's crazy. A lot of people say that he don't. But like, if somebody hit you in the same spot 500,000 times over and over, I don't give a fuck who it is. It's like boom, 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 over and over. You're gonna feel that spot. So he's one of them guys. Like, he's gonna constantly hit you over and over. That's why his knockout percentage is a good knockout percentage.
Would you say you were? Look, you obviously barely ever get hit in a fight, but because you were in a pocket, you got hit more than you normally get hit, right? In that fight. Did your body feel different after the fight?
Hell yeah, like I never left the ring.
But everyone was picking Josh Taylor that you spoke to in boxing. Yeah. And we saw what Teo did to Josh Taylor. We saw what Teo did to Lomachenko. And one of the things that I think that gets lost in that fight against Lomachenko is Teo threw more than 100 punches in the final round to make sure he won that fight.
Yeah, no question. Even in the loss that he had against Kambosos, where he had a puncture, like he had some medical condition in his esophagus that like was dangerous actually, and it looked like an off night. By the way, George Kambosos doesn't like when I say this, and I apologize. I understand it feels unfair to you, and maybe it is unfair, but this is my honest opinion. It may be, but it is still my honest opinion, Malik. I just have to be honest with the way I see it. I don't think that was the best version of Teo by a long shot. But even then, he was rallying in that fight late. Yeah. He has championship heart. And the thing I like about Teo's style, I mean, when you have a guy like Shakur whose defense is that good, and he's not just...
Shakur Stevenson says he never fights in a predictable way. When people think they've figured him out, he changes his approach. If they expect him to box safely, he attacks more. If they prepare for pressure, he slows the fight and controls range. He believes this unpredictability gives him an edge, forcing opponents to hesitate and make mistakes, which keeps him ahead of the competition.
He couldn't beat a one-handed guy. And if you go back and watch that fight, like I'm saying, Shakur wasn't just running. Jermaine Ortiz really moved a lot on Teo. That never happened with Shakur Stevenson and fighting this guy. That never happened. So De Los Santos is De Los Santos. He got a reputation off of that. That boosted his reputation. I don't know why. He didn't do nothing to Shakur. He didn't wobble him, didn't hurt him, didn't do nothing. You know what I mean? And the man was one-handed. So, but shout out to De Los Santos. Like I say, I think he's more risk than reward. Actually, that'll be a great fight for Abdullah Mason in his first title defense. That'll be a great fight for him in his title defense. That'll be a good. They should use him for that
instead of Joe Cordina.
Yeah, Joe Cordina was rough too, though. I watched him against the kid from Fresno. What's the kid's name? I forget his name. They was pushing him, but he just ain't there. He took a lot of punishment. He probably need to go get a job. Gabriel Flores. Gabe Flores. Yeah, Gabe Flores.
From Vegas,
yeah. He from Fresno. Or he from Sacramento. He from the Bay Area.
He just be training. Yeah, he be training.
Yeah. So I would say I would say that, you know what I mean? Because Abdullah Mason is the guy. I think he got a lot of potential. And like I said, him fighting a guy like De Los Santos is almost like a Bud fighting Gamboa in his first title defense. You know what I mean? So that would be a great fight for Abdullah Mason. You know what I mean? And he's more known than Joe Cordina. You know what I mean? And given the controversy that he's been in, you know what I'm saying? The way he's perceived as kind of feared, that'll be a great fight for Abdullah Mason.
Damn, my boy Bernie said that's like Gamboa versus Crawford for his first title defense. That shit is fire.
Yeah.
I like it. Carlos Vargas, thank you for the donation. Shout out from the Bay. Who you guys got, Shakur or Shakur Stevenson? How does this play out?
I don't know, man. Like I'm saying, I don't know. I don't know how it play out. I'm just want to see the fight.
So you think it's a 50-50? Shakur and Teo?
Everything is a 50-50. Well, I would say 60, but I'm leaning towards Shakur for sure. I'm leaning for Shakur. I'm rooting for Shakur.
So you think it's going to be a close fight?
Well, I don't know about how close. I don't know. I think it's going to be a competitive fight. Let me say that. I think it's going to be a competitive.
Max Kellerman analyzes the matchup by stressing how frequently Teofimo Lopez has been underestimated. He reminds viewers that the majority of boxing fans and experts backed Josh Taylor only for Lopez to clearly outclass him. Kellerman also brings up Lopez's victory over Lomachenko, emphasizing the intensity and volume he showed in the closing round to lock in the win. When discussing the loss to George Kambosos, he notes that Lopez was dealing with a serious health problem that impacted his performance that night. Kellerman argues that a single bad outing shouldn't outweigh Lopez's consistent history of stepping up and delivering when the stakes are highest.
Same way he probably feel about me, I feel the same way about him. He's in my way. I'm chasing greatness.
But I wasn't in your way. You came up to my weight.
Yeah.
You didn't have nobody at 35.
That's true, but you the guy, bro. You the guy. You 4 Kings. You been the guy for years.
But you the guy on the pound for pound.
I agree. I understand.
So how am I the guy if you on the pound for pound?
But you're the guy, bro. You know you the guy, bro.
I'm Theo. Yes.
Yeah. You been the guy since, bro. You the guy. But I'm just telling you.
But I don't.
You're in my way, bro.
I don't carry it that way.
But you're in my way.
The mentality is never going to be that way.
But you're in my way. But you're in my way. So I got to move you out my way. That's how I look at this.
Nope.
Ain't nobody taking food off my table. That's all I'm gonna say.
But I'll tell you this though, you bit more than you could chew.
It's cool. You can feel that way.
For sure.
But come fight night, you're gonna realize this is a lot different than being on the outside than being inside of there.
Shakur Stevenson says training with Terrence Crawford elevated his game by sharpening his timing, case awareness, and adaptability, helping him think more clearly and stay composed. In the ring, Bernie the Boxer believes those qualities make Shakur a nightmare matchup for Teofimo Lopez, explaining that Shakur's intelligence, control, and ability to neutralize opponents allow him to avoid danger, dictate fights, and maintain a tactical edge throughout every round.
Very good fighter, but you gotta learn, and I will hope he will pay attention to this because this is gonna mean a lot for him. His feet are good, but sometimes they take him too far out of range to be able to come back and counter. The last guy he fought, the guy was a good puncher, so when he was jumping back, he was jumping too far back out of range to where he couldn't come back and get something right away. You know what I'm saying? And for the fans, it starts to look bored.
That's how I'd say. I feel like he was running.
He really ain't running. He just don't understand that this is somebody gotta teach him. He a great fighter. He got great eyesight. He has great reaction time. He gonna be a great fighter. He just gotta figure out how to use them feet a little different.
Is he the best defensive fighter out of all four of them?
Right now, defensive, yes, because his defense is with his feet. Some people don't understand. Defense isn't with your hands, it's with your feet. And he has the best foot defense of the game. So if he uses it for defense, when it's strictly defense, yes. But when you want to make it offensive, you can't do that.
Shakur Stevenson says the pursuit of greatness requires taking on anyone who stands in the way. He makes it clear that facing Teofimo Lopez isn't about emotion, but about progress. In his view, a legacy is formed by defeating the strongest competition available. If Lopez is the obstacle between him and the top, then the matchup is unavoidable. Shakur believes turning away from that challenge would only delay his path toward becoming one of boxing's elite.
Slower, moving up in weight or not, where Teofimo can hit him. Maybe he was really fast at 130, 26-30, maybe 35, but 40, you put on a little bit more weight. Shakur Stevenson has a very strong style where he can sit back and pot shot you and box and stuff like that, where Teofimo can also box and is very athletic and can get from side to side and can make things difficult for you as well. So what style is going to impose on the other is what we want to see.
So which style will impose? Is it something where like the first rounds really will dictate, or?
I think you're going to need a couple of rounds, but the first round is going to be very interesting. Maybe you see some tails, but I think maybe 2 or 3 you're going to start seeing one leave the other. Because I don't think that, well, maybe, I mean, Shakur might show some different, if he has to go after Teofimo, he might show some different type of heart that we haven't seen or different type of fighting we haven't seen. And vice versa, you know, whereas Teofimo's hitting him with different shots off the angle that is kind of giving, you know, Shakur Stevenson trouble. We'll see about that.
Roy Jones Jr. says, Shakur Stevenson is on the verge of greatness, praising his intelligence, control, and ring awareness, but notes that refining his footwork is the final key. Better movement would allow Shakur to control exchanges, create angles faster, and become very difficult to hit cleanly. Roy stresses that small details define the best fighters, and while Shakur already has the skills and mindset improving, his positioning could turn tight moments into dominance, elevating him from an elite boxer to a truly exceptional one.